Welcome to the Stay Paid podcast, where we help agents and entrepreneurs master the latest business trends to unlock growth and create a life of freedom. Brought to you by Reminder Media.
Welcome to Stay Paid. I'm Joshua Stike.
And I'm Luke Acree.
And before we bring on our guest today, we'd love it if you take a minute to subscribe to Stay Paid on Apple Podcast or Spotify. If you're not already subscribed, while you're there, drop us a review. We will read it here on the show. Joining us today from Lynchburg, Virginia, Stephen Acree and Cody Smith from the Acree Brothers Realty team, the number one.
What do you guys think about having these guys on the show? We're just discussing this. I don't know if they're bringing our views down. They think they're the looks and the humor.
Maybe we can get
us now, Luke. You're going to get some more reviews.
Yeah. We'll do a Spotify.
They'll be like, kick them off, kick them. No,
they're the only reason we're staying.
Yeah.
And joining us today, our special guest is Mike Heggie. Mike is a dynamic realtor that has a proven track record selling luxury properties and consulting relocating buyers in the Charlotte, Huntersville, and Lake Norman areas. As a former nurse, he has applied those skills to ease the stress of the process with the help of his team to make an incredible experience. He is a founding team leader at Compass Pridemore Properties and consistently ranks in the top 100 realtors in the national market. Mike, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for being here.
Hey, appreciate it. I feel like you guys, if you can just kind of like introduce me that way when I get home every day, so my kids kind of have like a healthy awareness, you know?
We'll even put some
way to make me feel good. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
It'll be like walking out at UFC. That's how it will be when you're coming home. We'll have the theme music, Josh with the intro. You're also known, I mean, Josh didn't say the main title you're known for being the breath guy, because you had this video go viral on, Instagram and probably other platforms. I saw it on Instagram and I think it has millions of views on there. Explain a little bit about that. What was the video? Why do you think it went viral? What has it done for your business?
Yeah, I mean, we, like many other people have been putting out content for a long time. You know, you always hope to have something like this happen, but you're not prepared for when it does. And so it wasn't really overnight. We had been having a lot of reps of just putting out videos and trying different things. And so if you're not familiar with the video, you literally can Google breathing realtor. And unfortunately, I'm the top ranking keyword. So I'll take that as a badge of honor. You know, the SEO juice is in my favor at the moment. The video was produced on July 8th, and that's when it launched. It was literally within a 24-hour time period from shooting. And it's a very random, just me, everything that you'd say in a video, you take out. So it's just me breathing. Literally, that's all the outtakes. So I think the self-deprecating humor. The caption was my Gen Z editor. I sent her the video, and this is what she sent back to me. And I think that landed for a lot of people because there's this timeless tension between generations. So making fun of employee-employee relationships and, the generational gap and perspective. We didn't realize it was going to land. And so when it did, people were, coming out of the woodworks, just news outlets, Gary Vee's team came out. I mean, there's a lot of press behind it. It was super cool, super grateful for those opportunities, the Today Show. And so we just kind of, ran with it. So I think the traditional media connections, led to more opportunities. We've had people, clients, referrals, other agents, that I'm super grateful for saying, I think of a guy in Charlotte. Well, you're the guy. So I'm going to reach out to you because I don't know anybody else, or, I like your personality, what have you. So we're trying to lean in those opportunities and, just ride the wave. So it's been fun.
Yeah, I mean, you really have been consistent because I went and took a look at your social after all that. And you have been putting out a lot of content and you do a lot of great content and you get good amount of views. Have you found that it has upped all of your views on your future videos or you're going through we've gone viral before on TikTok, but then we went into the death of we'll have a video it's not even that viral, 1 million views. And then it's 400 views. And you're like, can't get this to work. What is going on? What have you learned from the virality, and have you been able to transfer that to other videos? Any tips for us?
Yeah, I think when you have something like that happen, is you immediately got to get together with your team and figure out, dissect it, and then lean into that topic, whatever it is. So the spoof or the spinoff videos that we had were all in an effort to try to capture some of the wave and keep them there. Because I didn't want to be a one-hit wonder. I wanted to have some, again, we've been putting out content for a long time. We never saw something like this coming. But in the end of the day, we leaned into the Gen Z, kind of entire shtick, if you will. And so me walking through house tours, talking about no cap, or like, this clinically delulu, or put a Victorian child into a coma. Those are all the Gen Z, you know, vernacular. So I had to get a crash course. Fortunately, our Gen Z editor is Gen Z, and she knows that very well. So I'm literally just reading or just saying it, projecting. But we
It
tried
is
to
so
lean into
funny, dude.
that.
The first time I heard no cap was from Chandler on our team, and it's so funny to
Oh,
see the generational gaps. So I was like, what? What?
What are you talking about here? Yeah.
So many of them.
oh, totally. No cap. I mean, that's definitely one. Or like just a simple bet. When I first said, I'm like, "Are you taking a bet?" I don't follow. I don't get it. Um, so, but we leaned into that, and then you're right. I mean, you have this kind of like overarching success, and then what was interesting is because the breadth piece, the caption did not have English, so influencers like in India, China, Japan, Brazil, a lot of our international clients said, "Hey, this guy that I follow did a remix of your reel in my language because I follow this guy because I'm Brazilian or I'm Japanese." And like, so the crazy part is a lot of the views were coming from international. Like when I look at the insights, it's unbelievable. Um, so the blessing of that is that now there's new awareness that never, but the secondary maybe downside is like the next video is in English, so I'm not sure it's really going to land.
Yeah. I don't know how you retain that client base, but maybe, I mean, referrals internationally. When you look at your deals, did you see growth in like referrals from specifically from agents and, international stuff like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we did put it on TikTok, but someone ripped the video on Instagram and put it on her own TikTok. Like it just copied the video and put it and then it went viral on her page. And so then like when we posted it late, we didn't post it all at once because again, when something like this happens, you're trying to figure it out, sort through it, and
Yep.
so the subsequent videos stuck on TikTok. And I really not been a big TikTok like user prior to that. I mean, I was just kind of on it, but maybe haphazard, mainly Instagram. And so when we put it on there, that's when it kind of took off on the other videos. So just, it was different based on how the algorithm picked it up. But the international business on TikTok, specifically people that were relocated in the area from international to our area, that was one that I just didn't see coming. And it was more prevailing, even though the viral video was on Instagram. I had a lot of our clients and again, news media outlets and things picking up on Instagram, but the actual buyers that were coming came from TikTok.
Wow.
So I don't know if the algorithm was pushing it further or just more meaningful to that particular audience. Maybe there's more Gen Z users on TikTok. That's another video right there.
When you did the video, were you already at 30,000 plus followers, or did that skyrocket your?
No, what's wild, I'll be super transparent with you guys, and I've kind of shared this. Like 2 years ago, I built a page like all the wrong way. I paid to play. I paid for followers and got to 80,000 people. And then I said, this doesn't feel right to me, because once you're in that loop, you have to keep doing it. And I just said, I'm going to cancel it all. I'm going to strap it and start over and do it completely organic, the right way. And I've been working on this, on the page you see now, for 2 years, all the right things, showing up, consistently posting, doing all the things. And then this hit. And so for me, it was like very, very thankful that like, wow, I never thought like when I scrapped a page, I'd spent 6 figures on that old page.
Wow.
6 figures on Instagram. And like to scrap it took a piece of me.
Yeah, I bet.
It was really difficult, but it obviously paid off. We went from 2,000 to, I think we're just under, like we're at 33,000 or something like that on the personal page.
But how long of a time frame, was that? Because, that's what we'd like to get our social up to, because it's also something you can show in listing appointments. And I think it does mean something. And then the other thing is when you're sharing the stories of closings and you have 30,000 plus, followers that are seeing your story, it feels really good to the client. So how fast did that happen?
Yeah, July 8th, the video launched. And I think we had grown I think it was 3,000 people overnight. I mean, like I went to bed and woke up the next day and it was like, and then just seemed like I couldn't keep up with all of the things. And then there was a period of time where a VA was trying to comment, and I didn't realize there was 100 comment list, cap. And so they shadow banned me at about 21,000 people within I think it was 60 days, maybe 90 days. And because we were commenting, we're trying to keep up, like just to keep, I guess, momentum, make sure people feel like we heard them, all the things. And so then it took like a week. And then ironically, that same week, Instagram Business reached out. Their page wanted to feature the video, wanted to talk. And I said, hey, I'd love to talk to you guys. I'm really thankful you reached out. Is there any way you can unlock my account, please? Is there is there,
Wow.
is there any way? I
That's
mean, I don't know if
huge.
you have Zuck on like standby, but if you can like figure that out. And so I don't know if it helped at all, but the next day it did unlock. So, but it was kind of wild. I mean, it grew really fast from July to date, is that time period.
That's sick. How do you think about content now? Like, are you trying to post every single day, or you have you mentioned this Gen Z video editor and stuff like that that's doing it for you? Like, how do you, because Steven and Cody, I'm assuming you guys' problem knowing, working with you, it's like the time that it takes to stay consistent and post every day. Do you have a methodology or framework you follow, Mike, in order to keep up with posting or?
Yeah, you guys ask good questions here on the podcast.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where you staying paid, and then your background, like take action. You just take action, just consistent, right?
That's what it is, baby.
I love it. So I think consistency is really the key. When we brainstorm ideas, we're thinking about it from the vantage point of like what's worked, what's an angle, who's our audience, and like how do we create those different buckets of content. So right now we're pivoting a little bit because like we had a lot of the Gen Z buyers, but we have luxury sellers. And while they like the humor, it's a little bit different audience, right?
Yeah.
I can't go in there and say, I'm going to take your $5 million listing on God. Where do you sign? I mean,
That's awesome.
So I had to pivot a little bit with like some of the content we were creating to where I can still show my personality. I still do, obviously, because I think being personal is like a huge piece. I mean, we knew like a few years ago, as you guys are smart, you knew that like the standard branded templates that real estate companies put out, like I don't think anybody looks at those. Like, oh my gosh, my mom liked it again. I'm so thankful. So, so we knew that we had to do something different, and I think that was where kind of the comedic relief. We just started experimenting. It was A/B testing. Tom Ferry talks about that too, just A/B testing and trying different stuff and seeing what's going to land and what resonates.
Where do you market your listings at? Do you market it on social as well, or you just keep that purely like authentic humor, that kind of thing?
It's a great question. The listing videos, when we have higher profile listings, I think the listing walkthrough videos are still getting a lot of traction. People are curious about homes. They want to see the inside of homes, making it creative. I think YouTube has been a big piece. We've been slowly building that there, but we predominantly do it for the ad feature. Like targeting out of market, relocating feeder markets to our market with those listing videos. Okay. So it's been kind of a strategy that we've been doing for some time on social. There's definitely a tee up, like teaser, stories, clicking links, like trying to get the engagement up of like, are you curious about where this is located? Send me a DM, hit me up. We've got access to this private list that nobody else has, like really leaning into that story. And then when we post, it's like a run up where we've tried a lot of different things, but on social certainly is a mechanism where we want to showcase the listing, but we're trying to do it in a creative way versus like, come on in, check it out. Welcome 123 Banana Street. Just trying to do some different stuff. So I'm equally excited to learn from you guys on what you guys do for listings.
But the same thing, man, when we keep hearing this on on this podcast is the private listings, right? The exclusive listings that no one else gets access to. Like we've seen that probably the last 3 people have said that. And so, when you're in a low inventory market, the problem is we have an incredible brand here and we're doing a lot of like paid ads. So like the views that we get are extraordinary. People know us, but we don't have our organic social up. I want to get that list together. I want to build that up because when you do the exclusive list for that, I could see a lot more lead flow coming through. But we're doing a lot of similar stuff.
That plays into Instagram, like you guys doing your own little channel on Instagram. That's the Sharon or Jimmy Mackin deal of the week concept. And that could be a way to organically build that list. One of the things, like one of the people on your team, Adam,
Yeah.
He does a good job at his social, and I liked his video he just put up of what was it? This is what $615,000 can get you in Lynchburg, Virginia, and a nice little tour of the house. Like I feel like those videos are doing well. I think you guys should test, like almost like guess the price of this home, and put that in your story. So the same, like take that nice home that Adam did, and go, how much do you think this home is worth? 400. 475, 600, and that gets interaction with people. And obviously that will feed the algorithm. But that's one thing I go that people I see really like tours of house, right? They call it, what is it, house porn? People like the tours of house a ton. And that's the title of the video right there.
Yeah, they got to put that on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Put that on YouTube.
Now this podcast is banned. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I think the kids say prawn.
Oh, okay. There you go.
This is a family-friendly show. No.
So do you think it should focus too on, instead of doing like the Acree Brothers brand, that just do Stephen Acree, like the individual, like.
Yeah. What do you think about that? The personal versus, the business.
Yeah. Business for personal. Who would you focus
Yeah,
on?
man, that is, again, great questions here. I love the collaboration. I love this, cohort. I feel like I'm in the room with you guys and we could tap beers right after. And
See, Luke, he likes us.
Exactly.
He's going to keep us on this podcast.
Mike's just trying to praise you guys so we keep you on the show. No.
He's like, give me the referrals.
Exactly. No, you guys are great. When we did the collaboration on the viral video, we actually had my personal page tagged as a collaborator. I've never seen this happen, but it went so viral that Instagram took me off as a collaborator. I'm still tagged. I was able to pin it to the top of my feed, my personal page, but I have tried no short of, I can't tell you how many times of trying to re-add me as a collaborator, and the most that it will do on that post is just a tag. So I think if you can collaborate, yeah.
Do you know why that is? That's interesting.
Never seen that happen ever before. And the only thing I can attribute is the analytics. They couldn't keep up, I guess. That's just my guess. I really don't know. I think if you can tag your personal and the business, like we try to make it easy for our team too. If it's a team post, we're going to hit the collaborator button to make it easy for them. And it expands the reach. Like when this comes out, there's any clips, tag me. This is good.
How many people do you have on your team to do this kind of operation of social?
We have 25 active producing agents on the staff side. We have 3 people that touch the team account, and my personal account, there is 3 people that touch that as well.
Okay.
Is that what they do full time? Is like social and other administrative stuff, or are they touching it like they're agents as well, but they have access?
The Gen Z editor, we pivoted to an employee role, to a 1099 role. So She's still with us, but she does more contracting. And so she still touches the page. Our VA, who is full-time, we hired like 5 years ago. She's fantastic. So we have, and she does a lot of things, not just social, but social media is probably 60% of what she does. And the rest of it might look like, email newsletter, back-end marketing stuff. Because she's got a graphic kind of mind. We hired her as a video editor, by the way, which is a great hack for virtual assistants, not marketing, not social media, video editor. Because if you can find someone that's a VA, that's a video editor, they're very technically savvy and they can figure out the other things, they can normally be trained.
Yeah, that's great.
That's really good. That's the harder probably thing to know, is that. So that's smart.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, everyone says they know social media.
Yeah,
I can edit in Canva.
I want to go back for a second because Mike, you said you when you did the listing videos, you advertised them to feeder markets, to your market in Charlotte. Is that working? And if it is, like, how do you choose the feeder markets? Is it just your institutional knowledge based upon your history? Like, can you give us some tips around that? Because I think that's a great idea.
Totally. On Redfin, they have migration pattern. Like, you can track that. Prior to maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, How Money Walks was a really good source. It was at the census data level. Unfortunately, that map seems to be broken, and it was free, so I didn't I'm sure somebody crashed a course, so they couldn't update the census data, or something happened. But we kind of institutionally knew where our feeder markets will go. We would know that, like on social, from insights on certain videos would track So there's kind of a multitude of different sources. But for us in Charlotte, we have the halfback syndrome where people come from Northeast, really cold, to
Okay.
Florida, which is really hot and expensive, and they come halfway back to the Carolinas.
Huh.
So we knew that like targeting there, that's a common thing in our market. And then also California, people that want to escape California, and we'd run ads that say, "Why are all the Californians leaving?"
That's so great. Yeah, it catches you right in. And then when you're looking at that, like, what's the type of spend that you would do monthly that you feel has been worth it for you? Just even if it's a range, so people know what it would take to do something like that.
I think when you have a really strong listing, it makes it easy because you want to spend money. You know that it's going to, like, you're investing money and not spending, right? And if you're going to invest in video and you believe in video, and that's part of why you're here and you're learning and growing, you're willing to put the dollars in for that listing to get it staged and prepped. And you're showcasing the story on social. You're doing the listing video. So once you have the video, the question is, where does it go? And a lot of the sellers would ask, like, it's great. Cody, you guys brought up a really good point, like how social you could utilize the number of people in your audience and like what kind of reach you're going to have. On YouTube, what we do is make an unlisted video, and then we would target through Google ads. We target those feeder markets where we type in, those locations. And I think we're running like $200 or $300, like, a month. It wasn't like something crazy. And then we did sell this past year a $2.5 million house that way. And then prior to that, I had a repeat customer from years ago that called back. It was a double end deal. And then we just resold the property and helped them buy something else. I think all in, it was like $10 million worth of business from this one concept. So it worked. And they were from San Diego, and they saw the ad, like, why are the San Diegans leaving California? And they're like, that speaks to me. I want to get out of California and I want to get to this amazing property. And it resonated with them. So it did work.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like you guys' market, Stephen and Cody, because it's a college town, you could play maybe a little bit different angle, but where are the students coming in from?
Yep.
And targeting even parents buying investment properties and stuff like that. There could be a different angle there.
Yeah. What was the place that you got the data?
Redfin, I think you said, for migration.
Redfin migration patterns was one. How Money Walks was a website. It's not operational now, I don't believe. The census data is where they pulled it from. And then anecdotally, like from like your insights page with certain listings, you'll see like where people are drawn to, and where they're finding the properties. And we just kind of started tracking what that looked like. And then A/B testing. I mean, for us, the halfback phenomenon is strong. So I imagine in Virginia, you guys kind of know, like, it starts with people like around, like the closest city to Lynchburg, Virginia, is that Richmond for you guys?
Close would be Charlottesville and Roanoke. The
Okay.
biggest city would be Richmond.
Got you. So Charlotte and Raleigh are often in the conversation. It's 2.5 hours from us. Wake Forest is an hour and a half from us. So even starting like within the state and kind of capturing like Virginia as a whole, and sometimes can be really interesting to like test with to see if, what kind of interests are coming from those local feeder markets that are like confusing Charleston and Charlotte, which happens to us also a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Got it.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Man, I feel like I could talk to you all day. I want to just dive into the topic a little bit on, you have 25 team members. And man, building a team is so hard. I know, Stephen, you guys have been through the ups and downs of building a team. How have you gone about trying to find all-star players and then keeping the people on the team? Are you a heavy standards person? Are you just, try to build the roster? And I don't mean that in a negative way. It sounded negative. It's just like, that's a real strategy.
Yeah, we're not a leads team. We're a collaborative team. So we were a brokerage prior to calling ourselves a team within Compass. So I think that's an important distinction because we view ourselves, my business partner and I, being active in the business. We look for more collaboration with partnership deals. So if it's outside of our geography, as we've grown our own personal practices or development projects we're in, we don't want to service everybody, and we're not the right fit for all of our clients. You don't go to Starbucks to have dinner. you kind of know what your niche is, and you tend to build around that. And the people we brought on, a lot of them, because we're a brokerage and because we had longstanding history in Charlotte, most of them had 10 plus years experience. So we cater to more of the agent that is been stuck for a while and is frustrated and need mentorship and coaching to help them get to the next level. We're really good about identifying who is our avatar agent. And the second agent is someone that's been in business a long time, very tenured and respected, but they're just tired of doing all the back end stuff. They want camaraderie. It's very difficult, as you already said, building a team and riding solo, and being around a good camaraderie and culture where you're having events regularly. We're kind of putting on, laying out. We do a corporate tailgate with the Panthers. We've done every home game for 6 years. Like, that's just the red carpet. All you have to do is show up. There's beer trucks, there's Bloody Mary bars, there's 9 parking spaces. It's not like chucking a truck on the back of a hitch. Not that there's anything wrong with that type of tailgate, but we have a lot of fun, and we're tied in with the Panthers also. So we have the game, and it's a whole like day of setup. So I think a lot of our agents like that. It's just rolled out for them. They don't have to think as much. They just show up and they interact with their clients, which is what they're good at. So I think it's like really getting really clear on who the avatar agent you want to bring on is, and then like taking stuff off their plate they don't want to, they're not good at or they don't want to do.
When's that next tailgate party?
Yeah.
And you guys are always welcome. It's every home game, the same spot.
That sounds awesome.
So when you say
the Cowboys coming up.
so when you say like take off stuff off their plate, what is the leverage, points that you would point to the most? So like, for instance, we have a level up system on our team to where you close a certain amount of volume, you get contracts written for you, you get a showing assistant, so on and so forth. Is that the kind of leverage that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think at a team level, the personal assistant pieces are left to the agent themselves to, hire out. We have internal TC that you can forward your paperwork and kind of everything gets done for you. So there is that aspect of it that we offer. The marketing support, just a listing launch, a lot of details that go into that, as we all know, from preparation of the listing to managing once it's live, to a broker open house, to the email distribution. So our team can do all of that willingly and happily for our agents. So I think we try to take those pieces where normally it would bog an agent down, like trying to do all these details like that. And we would try to take that away. And it's not necessarily a minimum threshold. We try to give we're a big acknowledgement also, like, quarterly top producer lunches, and we're having end of the year dinner, and like, again, the client events, having access to that. I think our team is really big on the time with Scott and I, my business partner and I. So we're going through our one-on-one kind of business planning. We have a team sales manager. We hear time and time again. She's 20 plus years in the business, and she is just a rock star. And our agents, all the deal doctoring and all the things day to day, she handles for us. So, I mean, I think those pieces have been invaluable.
That's awesome. Yeah. Just curious? I'm just trying to get like an organizational, kind of chart, for this. What are your splits for your agents? How do you run it? Do you run it more like a brokerage, or is it more like a team split?
Man, if I could do it all over again, the number one thing I would do from learning from that mistake is, and this is just because of being a brokerage transitioning to a team, any broker owner that's in that case, there's got to be like a give and take. You can't scratch it all and start over. When you have OGs that are kind of been there and help you build a brand, you want to honor that. And so because of that, everyone is on a different arrangement. I think what I would do differently is whatever company that someone joined as a team, allow that to be taken off the top, and then anything left, have a flat split. Offer the same either across the board, or like you said, if you hit this threshold, you get this. But it would make it, from a profitability, probably my estimation, a 3 to 4x. Just from that. But when you build it, it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult once you build it,
It's like, do you decide to keep going, grandfather people in, do you decide to split to a tier system rather than it just be the same across the board? There's a lot of those questions. We ultimately decided, hey, we want to, keep everyone the same, and then have it be a little bit of a tier system with leverage, but not splits. So, our agents are making more when they get more leverage, but that's it.
That makes perfect sense. I was at a dinner last night with a bunch of business owners, and they were talking about this study that was done on CEOs that are decisive and just make decisions imperfectly versus CEOs who make better decisions. And the ones that were decisive and did decisions imperfectly well outperformed, like multiple X's outperformed CEOs who made the better decisions in the study. And I thought that's super interesting to this point of notice how, Mike, you had the same pain point that Steven had, and you're both trying to grow the teams. But at the end of the day, you have 25 agents, then Steven, you have a big team, and you've made it there because you made the decision and moved imperfectly, because you would have done it differently looking back. But you got there, and you're outperforming the person who's trying to set up the perfect, I guarantee it, the perfect splits right in the beginning, because some things you cannot get without experience. You just don't know. I was telling Steve today that a different Steve. I was telling Steve today in the office, like a common example, IT, right? You're running IT right now. Our IT probably has low morale, a losing culture right now because they haven't been hitting their sprints and the products getting out on time and all that stuff. And years ago, I was the guy that would say, don't fluff tickets. Don't give yourself more time. You should be doing more. Like, it was all about set higher standards. If you think it's going to take 8 hours, it should only take 8 hours. Don't give yourself 10 hours. Now I know, well, in theory, that sounds right. You tell that to anybody, they're like, yeah, don't fluff things. No. Now I know, no, you should actually fluff things a little bit. Let people actually win. Because when they win, they get juice and momentum, and then they'll win again. And then you can squeeze down a little bit slowly over time, but trying to run it to perfection in the beginning was the wrong move. But that sounds terrible when you say it out loud of like, yeah, fluff something. It'll take a little bit longer. It sounds horrible, but in practicality, because of experience, and after talking now to a ton of people who've been through the same pain as we have with IT, I realized, yeah, if you allow your team to go into a cycle where they're not winning, where they're not hitting their sprints, where they're not, then that's a death. Like it's death.
And it's the tiers of business too. Cause like when you're small, you can do what you did in the beginning, right? When I think about me as an independent agent and then having one buyer's agent, one assistant, like I'm operating in that way. And then you get a little bit bigger and the ship moves so much slower on decisions. And if you crush the morale of your team not hitting those targets, then it just compounds from there in a negative way. So it's like this development that you have to change and shift with every place of your business.
Yeah. And it's always, everything in life is moderation. Everything in life is push and pull. So it's not like you fluff too much or not. There's still that balance, but it is 100%. You have to create a winning culture, and winning comes from literally winning, like doing what you say you're going to do and accomplishing things. And so it's just interesting how when you study and look back on my own experience in running a business and then listening to others, you just go, yeah, there's some things only experience will teach you, because theory would make you think the complete opposite until you actually go out and do it. But man, Mike, this has been amazing.
Mike,
I'm trying to get back to asking people early on in our podcast. We used to ask everybody this question, which is, knowing what you know now, what advice would you go back and tell your younger self? Like, what would you tell them now with all this experience you've had?
Yeah. Wow. I think looking back 20 years ago when I got in this business, I thought that running hard without any kind of, like you mentioned, the fluff that came from experience. Like, it's not that we need fluff, but when you find passion from things that like give you energy, I'd probably spend more time with that, because business ended up happening later on from the things that I was naturally drawn to when I was doing things that didn't fit who I was. So for example, someone said door knocking. Okay, door knocking, right? So I'm gonna go door knock. Let me do a bunch of open houses, but that didn't give me energy versus I'm really into fitness and jujitsu and like that community. Like, it's just like second family and it's natural. And because I'm showing up, I never thought I was interacting with 50 people, 100 people at any given time throughout a week. And they're like brothers, or sisters. So like we're training along each other and we have that common interest. And I spent a lot of time doing what I thought was like the best, the shiny penny thing, versus like really examining, like, one, finding a solid mentor early helped me. But then listening to everything that they had unique perspective on, and then find things that gave me energy. So I spent too much time, like years and years, doing things that I hated to do. And I was never going to do it well because it just wasn't who I was.
It's great.
Love it. Mike, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Before we close out, let people know how they can connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Again, thank you so much. Mike Hagee in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Asheville. You can find me on all the socials at mikehagee.realestate or at our team page at Pridemore Properties.
Awesome. Stephen, Cody, thank you so much for joining us. Got anything you want to plug on before we?
Absolutely.
Yes,
And on this podcast, not the phone number, follow us on social, Acree Brothers, and then follow me on social, Stephen Acree.
Awesome. And thank you all so much for listening. This episode comes out on Monday before Christmas. So Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Hope you guys all have a fantastic holiday. Thank you so much for listening to Stay Paid. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to head on over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Drop us a review. And the best way to help out the show is to simply share this episode with somebody that you know. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. And of course, you can follow us on social media as well. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Mike, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate your wisdom. Looking forward to many more conversations. You are an absolute beast, so really appreciate it. So many golden nuggets shared. Here is my action item for all of you. Referrals are the name of the game, and I think people underestimate agent referrals and out-of-state referrals because we get kind of hyper-local focused, which is good, but there's an opportunity for you. And so this action item from this podcast, you should go to Redfin and you should look at the migration data. And you should look at where people are coming from, migrating to your area, and see, is there an opportunity for you there to start reaching those communities, because you can be known as that expert. YouTube is a great way to do it. I know a lot of great agents that have come on this podcast that get a lot of referrals from relocation based upon YouTube. But remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.